Okay. Assalamualaikum. My name is Laika Kamran, and I hope you're doing all well, Mrs. Irha. Can you give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Hi, I'm Irha. I'm an environmental scientist. I live in Australia and I've been working as an environmental scientist for the last 3 years. And I do a lot of soil, air, water testing, water monitoring, and work around that and how just everything that we do affects our environment, and trying to work towards a more sustainable future and trying to introduce more sustainability in the construction industry.
Wow, that's very wonderful. And I believe that will be really helpful for our aim as well. Basically, we are organizing a community march regarding littering and proper waste disposal for our GP's group project. For that, we will need the opinions and perspectives of experts of the field environmental management on how to make this a success.
Okay, before we go further, I would like to ask you a question. Knowing this meeting is being recorded and is going to be published on our social media platforms, I want to take your consent. Are you okay and comfortable with this, that this is being recorded and being published on social media platform?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Shall we get started?
Yeah.
Okay, our first question is, what is the most pressing waste-related issue in your country's local and urban area, and what community action should be taken to address them?
I think this is a very big generalization, but I think one of the biggest issues is consumerism and the overconsumption of every single thing. If you look at fast fashion, takeaway foods, the data we consume online, everything generates a lot of waste. And I think there isn't that much focus on sustainability and recycling. So as a community, I think we need to just work on creating more awareness around these issues and how the everyday little things we do, like just getting takeaway for dinner and how much waste that's generating. I think just awareness around the little everyday things is a very good thing is very important.
All right. Moving to our next question, I would like to ask, from your experience, what is the most effective strategy to overcome this waste reduction?
I think, like I said before, I think awareness and education around these issues is more important. I personally believe this, and I've been saying this for a very long time. Environmental management or waste management should be a part of the education curriculum in schools. It needs to be introduced at a very young age. There needs to be more awareness around it, more information around it. There's a very blanket general statement like, this is bad for the environment, but nobody talks about the actual impacts of those things. So I think just education and awareness is probably the biggest thing.
All right. The question I want to ask you next is, about our...
I think so. I think it's a very good start, and doing a march or doing actual physical things in the community will go a long way in starting that conversation and doing those things. I think it would be more sustainable to do it continuously. But yes, I think it's a very good idea. It's a very good place to start.
All right. I think it's Laika's turn now.
Okay, so shall I begin with the next question?
Yeah.
Okay, so according to you, what role do you think education plays in reducing waste, and how can we incorporate it into our initiative?
I think, like I've been saying it through every single question, education and awareness is the most important thing. So I think it is. I think involving members of the community is a very important thing, especially young kids. And I think with your initiative too, it starts the conversation. It's good to talk about the issues, and it's good to talk about the impacts of waste that we generate and how that affects the environment. But it's also good to talk about the incentives that come from better waste management. So I think just starting that conversation, talking about those things, spreading information, even if you're doing your march and just talking to the person next to you, is a very good place to start.
Okay. Thanks. So, should I begin with the next question?
Yep.
Okay. Are there any innovative waste reduction practices or technologies we should highlight during our march?
I think it sounds very basic, but I think a very important thing to do is introduce smart bins or use the proper use of bins. Have recycling bins everywhere where you have your general waste and your recycling bins. I think composting is a very important thing. I think it's about 26 or 30% is the food wastage in Pakistan, which costs like billions of dollars to the economy. Putting the environmental issues aside, I think if you talk about composting and every single household waste food, that reduces the waste by 30%. And then just recycling, if you have recycling bins everywhere, if you have proper bins for your plastics and your recyclables and other bins, I think just spreading more awareness around that, having bins in the areas which are properly signed with actual signage is very important. So it sounds
Very
basic,
well
but very important.
Yes. No, it was good. Can I move on to the next question? Okay. So, how can we measure? 1 second. How do you think our march impact? What is the impact of our march on environment and on the community in general?
I think again it creates awareness. It starts the conversation. It highlights the little changes that people can do in their everyday lives, and how the little efforts count and make up the big differences. It's good to highlight the impact of those little efforts and start with your own community and then hope that it turns into something bigger. So I think it's a very good thing.
All right. So that's the end of our interview questions, and we would like to request you to send us a picture of your visiting card. And if you don't have any visiting card, you can share us with the details of your designation and your full name and the company you work at.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Yes.
precious time.
Thank you.